NSG community. Let's show some respect to the late, great DMX. This song kind of applies to what we're about to talk about, which is Bloodline Breakers. This song was entitled Slippin' by DMX. So I'm gonna stop it now because it's pretty much over. Alexa, stop. She is still listening. Hello, NSG community. How are each and every one of you guys? Let me just adjust the camera some. Hi, happy Sunday. I hope this video finds you well. Those that are joining, hello. Happy Sunday. It is 6 o'clock, and of course at 6 p.m. NSG goes live to have our talks. And the subject of discussion for this evening is bloodline breakers. So how did this come to be? Let's see. I had been watching quite a few online sermons. So that's how I get my fix. I watch a lot of online sermons on YouTube, a lot. And one of the things that just kept coming up was discussions around bloodlines. And it wasn't that I was chasing it in the title. Oh, sorry. It wasn't that I was chasing it in the title. It just kept coming up. And over time, I'm like, wow, this is really starting to stand out. And I always try to pay attention to the things that stand out to me because I believe that they are being sent to me for a reason. So highly recommend that to every single one of you. And that's kind of what I'm going to get into a little bit as well. The reoccurring thoughts, ideas, visions, all of those things, pay attention to it because that is a message specifically for you. That's something that you really should pay attention to. So this idea of bloodline breakers, just looking down at my notes, when we think about this concept, I tried to figure out how to try to best explain it because for so many, it's a pain point. It's the thing in your generational line, in your stemming from your parents, grandparents, and wherever that had just continued to been passed down. And it's the thing that you want to run away from, the unhealthy behaviors, the unhealthy practices. Some families and some families, it's keeping secrets, and it's the secrets that you find out in adulthood that totally throw your world upside down. It's addictions. It is failed marriages, inability to commit, inability to stick around for anything, like abandonment, handling responsibilities in one way or another. Mothers, fathers leaving their children and not handling responsibilities. So bloodline breakers speaks to that. And so of course, with everything, with all these lives, I do a personal share, and I also share some coaching tips through it. So for this one, there's a couple of questions to help you identify, as well as some next steps in terms of creating some actionable steps that you can take to help break whatever bloodline curses, so to speak, traumas that you want to have stop at you. So for me, this particular topic is one that I just didn't know where to start. I'm like, there are so many things that I am trying to undo, and yet when I consistently think about this subject matter, the one thing that comes to mind is making sure that I am able to be there for the children around me. And so I don't have children. And one of the reasons why, so we're talking about bloodline breakers and family curses or what have you, whatever the case may be. For me, in my immediate line, so my mom she didn't stick around to raise her children. So the thing that scared me so much as I was growing up was, am I going to repeat that? I don't know what caused her not to. This is what I was saying. I don't know what caused her not to. I just know what she didn't do. And I do not want to go ahead and bring forth children and potentially have the same thing happen. I don't know. I'm like, there's always a thing where people tell you, you're like your mom or you're like your dad. And I never wanted to hear that line when it came to my own children, like you're like your mother. So I shied away from having children. And now at 39, it's become such a thing where now I'm not even sure if I wanted to, but I know that at the age of 25, I just committed myself to saying, you know what, because I am still unsure and because this fear is like screaming at the top of its lungs at me, I can't take that chance. I won't do to a child what was done to me. So I committed to not having children. And the bloodline breaking action that took place for me recently happened. And I mean, fairly recently. It happened, it started 2 years ago, and it really, I just felt this weight lift off of me last year. And I kept having to ask myself, what's holding this fear in place? I have grown so much. I've learned so much. I understand trauma in so many different ways. I'm coaching people through similar traumas. I'm working with people to come up with plans and to actually see themselves so much differently. I see myself differently. What is holding me to this one idea, this one fear that I may end up doing to my child what was done to me? And it went back to one of the subjects that we talked about last week, which was forgiveness. And I recognized that I hadn't forgiven my mother, truly forgiven her for the things that I didn't know. I tried to learn them. I tried to understand. I tried to have conversations. And one of the things that I had to realize is that just because I'm trying to get information, I'm asking those questions, doesn't mean that I'm going to get them. So I had to start asking myself, what do I really need to move through? Because I can't force someone else to do anything for me. I can't force anyone else to answer questions for me, to give me information that will help me move through. Whatever my healing is lies within me. And I really started digging. The process, I can't kid you guys. The process is hard because you go into examining your belief systems. And, last year I was 38. So from 25 to 38, this was my belief system. So I'm uncovering over 10 years worth of information that I was telling myself. And I started off with, the first realization was, can't make her tell me anything, and yet that doesn't stop my healing. So it was it doesn't stop my healing part that was super important. So the next question was, okay, so now that you know that it doesn't have to stop your healing, what is it that you really need to be okay? And I had to put myself in a place of what might have been going on for her. Because for me, I'm just such a seeker. I need to understand. I feel like understanding is so key to who I am. And I'm learning through my own practice, working with clients, working on myself, that you're not always going to get that kind of understanding from someone else. However, there are definitely ways that you can get it for yourself. So I envisioned what she might have been going through based on the information that I had of her life at the time. And I reflected on it. I was born in the early 80s. I know that my mom had addictions. I know that a different kind of addictions, a number of them. And I know that, trying to raise a child while also dealing with those things can be hard. So I said, okay, this was not about me. That was the thing that helped me to realize that this was not about me. The abandonment happened to me. It wasn't about me. And that realization then helped me to come to the space of, now that I know that there are things that can really take over your life and cause you to act out of your own good-hearted and well-intended nature, I started thinking, okay, so what in me might cause me to do something like that to my own child? And I realized, and this was one of the transformational pieces and the healing piece, where I realized I have done so much work to understand myself, to understand my triggers, what, my pain points, the things that tick me off and what have you, that the likelihood of me doing that is next to non-existent, right? And I don't like to say anything can never happen, because you never know what your future holds. However, I know what I've done. I know the work that I've done. I know the work that I am doing. I know the attachment that I have to children and all these different things. And I said, okay, I have to trust that. I have to rely on what I know about myself. I have to sit comfortably in my trust and understanding of myself, and know that what was done to me set the foundation for where I am right now. It set the tone for the learning and the growth that I've acquired over the years. And because of that, I not only am at minimal to no risk of doing that to my own children, I also have a wealth of information and knowledge to pass on to my children that can help them process their feelings and process their experiences so that they don't do it to theirs. So in that moment, talk about a bloodline breaker. In that moment, I realized where I was able to break the thing that I was so scared of, the thing that I thought was just kind of somewhere ingrained into the workings of my mind, that I would repeat it. In that moment, I realized, not gonna happen. And that was one of the biggest bloodline breaking moments that I've had. There's been others, but that one stands out like none other, because it's all around my family, the creation of my family, and continuing in the future. So as I mentioned, I came up with some coaching questions to share with each of you guys to figure out what the particular thing in your life or in your generation or family that you want to break. And the first question is, and we always want to start off small. So just take one thing until you get the rhythm, and then you go ahead and tackle the next. So what's one thing that your parents have done that you fear copying? So please understand that it does not have to be abandonment or anything like that. It can be some things that, some of the smaller reoccurring things, the things that you experience and you constantly see, and you're like, nope, not doing that. Nope, don't want to be like that. Nope, nope, nope. What's one thing that your parents have done that you fear of copying? Another question you can ask to help identify that is, what did you see in your family's history that you work hard on not repeating? So it may not be with your direct parents. It may be something that your grandparents do, that your aunts or uncles do. What is it that you see in your family history that you yourself are like, I will not repeat, that will not be my story? So pick that one thing, and then this is where you start the work. And kudos once you have it identified, because that's big. So then you want to go ahead and you want to trace the origins. So similar to in the story where I was sharing, was kind of like, where did this idea come from? Where do I think this behavior, this my mother leaving, where do I think that stemmed from? So trace its origins, whatever it is for you. Try to think back as to your understanding and your family knowledge of why the particular person does or has been doing what they've been doing. If you cannot get the information directly from the sources or those impacted or what have you, then similar to what I did, try to envision this. One of the beautiful things about us as humans is that we have this amazing ability to empathize. And one of the starting points of empathy is to try to envision what it might be like. So you don't want to cross over into the the plane of feeling sorry for them and being like, oh my goodness, because you run the risk of forgiving and excusing to your own detriment. So envision and imagine and try, and that helps to open up this window of compassion for the person that you're trying to not emulate, or the behaviors that you're trying not to emulate. So once you have that information is going to be key in this next step, which is appreciate that you have come to a place where you can choose not to go that route. Because once you understand or have an idea of how such a thing can come to be, that means that right now, in that moment of realization, you can choose another route because you're aware of it. So you're not blindly acting. You're not continuing this vicious cycle without knowledge. Whatever you do from that point forward is a choice. And you can choose to do the opposite. So now, this is where you add some extra steps. What is it that you need to do in order to not repeat those behaviors, in order to go the opposite direction? Write that out and make sure that it's something realistic for you, right? You want to think about how you want to think about your ability to do it. I would recommend a scaling question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how realistic is this for me to actually carry out? 1 being not at all, 10 being this is exactly what I can do. Because if you set your sights too high and you set the expectations too high, you not only run the risk of not being able to succeed, you run the risk of hurting yourself because you created a plan that wasn't based in reality. So take steps. There may be steps to get to that bigger step, right? You may have to say, I'm going to do X first in order to get to Y. Whatever it is your steps towards growth. And every action that you take towards that is an action towards you breaking that bloodline situation that you are trying to break within your family's history. And the last one, and this is one that I really, really love so much, give yourself credit. NSG community, we don't give ourselves credit enough. We focus so much on the things that we need to do, the things that we didn't do right, and what we want to do next, that we forget, hey, you made it this far. And you know what the this is. For everybody, the this is different. But you know what it is for you. Give yourself credit. And especially in something like this, the realization and the understanding of how something can come to be, and knowing from that point forward that you can do different, celebratory moment like none other. Then putting a plan into place for yourself to really strengthen that and carry it out, celebratory moment with each action step in that plan that you complete. So that is this week's discussion on bloodline breaking. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you found the coaching tips and suggestions helpful. Of course, we know this is a really big topic, and it can be hard because we're looking at not only at ourselves, but we're looking at our families, and we're trying to undo something. So, of course, as a coach, this is what I'm here for. This is actually the work that I thoroughly enjoy doing because it's rewarding in and of itself to see people come to those aha moments. So should you want any support, the book now section in my Instagram page, or if you're viewing this on Facebook, it has my website information. So just go ahead and click the book now. If you have any questions, or if you can't access that, just simply leave your email in the comments wherever you're watching this video, and I'll be sure to shoot you over that information as well as my website so you can go ahead and check out what NSG has to offer. In the meantime, pass this message along because we're passing along healing, and that's something that is invaluable. We can't put a price tag on sharing information that leads towards the betterment of others. So pass this message along wherever you are viewing it. If this is on YouTube, be sure to subscribe so that way you can stay up to date on all of the videos that I continue to post. In the meantime, folks, thank you so much for watching, and remember, never stop growing. Happy Sunday. How do I stop it? All right, guys. Bye.